Champ, I'm sure you would have liked to get a finish in there. Obviously, everybody does, but a title defense is a title defense. So give us the feel. After 5 rounds, how did you feel about your performance tonight?
Felt good. Just kind of dealing with all the circumstances that I had to deal with this whole week. I think in the last 3 days, I slept maybe 10 hours, if that. And then, of course, dealing with the heat. And then, of course, having the weight cut and things like that. It was a very, very challenging week for me mentally. Like, I can't even tell you guys what the last 24 hours was like mentally. And then, of course, with a guy, with the dog like Jorge Masvidal, it was very challenging. But, you know, these are what champions are made of. You have to rise to the occasion and take care of business, and that's what I did tonight.
Were there moments, you know, before the fight was made or as it was being made that you thought, this isn't worth it? You know, like, I'm a totally different guy. I mean, did you ever think, let's just not fight this weekend?
No.
A little?
No, because this is the first time I spent 2 months away from my daughter. And that's tough for me because I love my daughter. That's pretty much one of the only things that I do when I'm back home in Florida. Is I'm in my house, play with my daughter, watch her gymnastics, watch her jiu-jitsu, and go to train. And being away for 2 months, and it messed with me mentally. And then, of course, you have to deal with the new system, you know, with the new coach, just kind of getting used to that new place and new atmosphere. It was tough, but, you know, I dealt with it. I went through it. So then in the last minute, when they're saying, oh, well, you don't have a fight, and then this possibility popped back in, I'm like, no, I'm going to fight. It's going to be tough making a mental switch and a strategic switch for a guy like him. But, you know, we had to make it on the fly, and we did.
As you said, he's a dangerous guy at all times. I mean, I think it was clear that he was starting to tire a little bit. But was there a moment where you thought, oh, I'm in control of this fight, I've got this? Or were you always a little concerned that I got to be careful I don't get caught?
You always have to be a little concerned, especially with a guy like him. Like, he's a real dog. You know, all props to him, much respect. A lot of people were thinking that he would be out of shape for this fight. He wasn't. I mean, he's been training, and he came in prepared. He came in ready. Of course, I would like a lot more time to really strategically prepare for a guy like him, to really pick him apart better than I did tonight. But I had to do what I do best, and that's dominate a guy from start to finish.
Yeah. You guys spoke a little bit afterwards. I know there was some bad blood leading in, but can you share what was shared between the two of you?
I think it's just, you know, just a mutual respect. It's hard not to respect a man when you share 25 minutes with them in that octagon, punching each other in the face. And so, yeah, just mutual respect, and you know, we both feel that we'll do it again. And absolutely, I would like a lot more time to prepare for a guy like that, and really be able to dominate in the way that I want to, just picking my spots and try to get that finish standing.
It's funny because he said he wanted to make it clear, no excuses, but he said he wants to work his way back to you. But you're saying you want to do it too. Like, that wasn't good enough for you. You want to fight him again at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a veteran. He's a crafty veteran. You know, he's got tricks that a lot to the untrained eye people don't see. He's got a lot of tricks there, but, you know, I would love to do that fight again. With, especially you see my last couple fights. You know, I like to pick my spots. I like to really pick a guy apart, and I've evolved so much, you know, but I still got, you know, tools in the tool shed. So if I need to wrestle, that damn motherfucker, I'm gonna wrestle, you know. But I need to showcase a lot more of what I have in the toolbox, and you know, I would love to do that with a lot more time.
Last thing for me, it looks like Gilbert Burns is next. You know, Dana says he's the #1 contender. Do you feel that way, first of all? Then secondly, what do you do now? Do you go back to Sanford MMA and train for a little while? Do you guys wait to see what happens? I mean, how do you handle that?
Well, you got to wait to see what happens. We all know what happens in the UFC. Nothing is for sure unless you're stepping inside that cage. That's when something is for sure. We learned that 6 days ago, and so you know, it doesn't really matter. First and foremost, I need to get home to my daughter. That's what's important. I need to sit on my couch, eat some Thai food, and watch some Netflix with her, and then watch a couple of gymnastics training and a couple of jiu-jitsu practices, and then we'll start thinking about fighting somebody again. I mean, that's the one thing in this division. There's no shortage of contenders. Leon Edwards is there. I mean, the guy's been tearing it up. Gilbert had an amazing year. He's there. Kobe thinks he's there. So, there's no shortage of challengers. There's always going to be a challenger, and they're always going to throw somebody in there with me. And whatever the company feels like they want to throw in there, that's my job as a champion, is go out there and dominate them like I just did.
Kamaru. Jorge says he felt that even on the short notice, he was able to show that his wrestling is underrated in the game. Did you feel that he had better wrestling than you anticipated?
No, it's not that I anticipated. I know his wrestling's good. Like, people were not giving him credit for that. I know his wrestling's good. He's one of the best at his takedown defense is very, very good, and you can see it in his style. When you watch a fighter, when they're afraid of someone's wrestling, afraid of being taken down, they're crouched over in a stance, they're very low, and they're afraid to throw kicks and things of that nature. Masvidal's not. He's standing straight up, bouncing up and down. He's firing off those kicks at will. And I knew he was going to be a tough guy. His wrestling's always been good, but, my wrestling's just a little bit better. My wrestling is just a little bit better than everybody. Just tactically, how to put a whole fight together. I'm just a little bit better than everybody in this division. That's why I'm the champion.
Online, there has been some negativity towards the fight, saying, it was a bit boring and stuff like that. But at the same time, you still...
Who said that?
Just like a multitude of fans and fighters have said, it's dull.
Yeah, well, maybe they need to get in there and fight Jorge Masvidal for 25 minutes and then say something.
Well, I was going to say, because at the end of the day, you still had a dominant performance. You got 50-45 on two of the scorecards. So do you think that people need to start appreciating that domination, okay, so you're not knocking him out, but it should still be respected? Well,
that's the thing is, there was a time where people started hating Floyd Mayweather because he was so dominant. And Floyd, his defense was so good, and he was just so good at what he did. We could agree on that. He was so good at what he did to where everyone's like, oh, that's boring. He's not just fighting because people want to see a bar fight. We're risking our lives in there. And we've trained. What was the point of training each and every day and then going there and just slugging around, taking punches? You train to be able to make someone miss, to be able to control them in a certain way. That's what training is for. So you're not in there just taking punishment at will. And I do that better than anybody. And so whoever is saying that, they can say whatever they want, but I went out there, I kept working. I worked for 25 minutes. Even when we were up against the cage standing, I worked for 25 minutes. I gave him opportunities to where he could have got off the cage. But, he was there, he content staying there, and I kept working. And so whoever's saying that, they can say whatever they want, but come share the octagon with Jorge Masvidal for 25 minutes, and let's see what you're going to say.
He said back here that when he was in the cage with you, he said, we don't need the bad blood to promote the next fight. We don't need to do that. We don't need to teach the younger fighters that that's what they have to do to get money and promote fights. Do you agree with him?
Absolutely, and that's what I was saying. Leading up, I talked a little bit about this. I felt that like he turned into. I think that was a statement I made, that he had turned into something that he never wanted to be. And what I meant by that is that, the whole trash talk and all of this, Jorge Masvidal was, the reason he had my respect is because he's a martial artist. And that's the first thing you're taught in martial arts is respect. And that's all I want to do. I want to come in here and I want to compete. And I think he wants to do the same as well. So, it's a mutual respect thing there. When you share the octagon with someone for 25 minutes, it's hard not to have that mutual respect. And I think we're both martial artists and we both share that.
Last one from me. You want to fight him again. He wants to fight you again. You're the champion. If you could pick the next fight for Jorge Masvidal, who should he fight next to start getting back towards you?
He's a tough guy. I don't think he lost any fans tonight. I think it just showed that he's still a little bit behind in just what it takes as far as me to being able to dominate a fight. But he's still very, very dangerous. He can fight anybody. He can fight. Of course, I think a lot of people want to see him fight the guy that I fought last, Kobe. I think a lot of people would be interested in watching that match. I know I would. And so it doesn't matter. I sit at the top, and whoever they throw at me, I'll go out there and defend against. But he has options.
You fought both of them. Who wins that fight, Kobe or Masvidal?
See, that's the tricky thing. Styles make fights. They know each other. They train with one another. I'm interested to see that fight. Sharing the octagon with both men, I know they're both tough in different ways, and I think Masvidal has evolved a little bit, and that's one thing that I didn't think I gave him credit for, is how much he's evolved and how much he's changed. And I think that's an intriguing fight. Honestly, I can't pick a winner.
Congratulations on getting that shmoney, champ.
Thank you.
The other day you talked about getting that win today, as you predicted, you would tie GSP for that record. He's universally looked at as the greatest welterweight of all time to a lot of people. What's it going to take for you to be known as the greatest welterweight of all time?
I mean, just continue to do what I've been doing, and that's dominating opponents and winning, and that's how George got there. You know, if a lot of people, MMA fans, really look at what George did towards the latter part of his career, they looked a lot like that. You know, dominated guy, take them down, just beat them up, and utilize each and every aspect of the martial arts, mixed martial arts, and I think I'm on the same track. And so, yeah, we're both tied for most consecutive wins, and that's a fight that I look at and I love, and I want a fight like that, to be able to train and showcase all my skills and have him showcase his skills. I think that's a crazy fight. It's a huge fight, and I think a lot of people would want to see it.
There was a lot of bad blood leading up to this with Jorge Masvidal. Beginning of the year, leading up to the Super Bowl, you guys had the incident, everything like that. Obviously, no bout agreements were signed, but in your heart, you always kind of knew that you were facing this guy. So how much training did you actually have preparing for him as your opponent before you knew it would be Gilbert Burns?
No more than about 2-3 weeks, in a row. Because when originally they were talking about doing this fight, that was April. I'm like, okay, I'll step in. We'll take him on. And that was at the point where I said I would take the fight on. I think almost 2 weeks, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks notice. I said I would take the fight, and so I started training for that maybe about 7-8 days. And unfortunately, they couldn't come to terms on his side, and so that fight got scrammed. And then there was a possibility, there was some talks of maybe doing it in May. And so I got about 4 days of dieting and getting back, training for him mentally, and then unfortunately that fell apart again. And so I haven't really had extensive time to really train for him. But I would love to see how that works out, giving me 6 weeks to mentally hone in, study film, break him down, and just pick my spots and just use more tools.
You switched camps because you didn't want to fight your teammate, obviously so. Now, do you think after that fight, you would go between two different camps, or you'd have to make the decision and pick one?
Well, I mean, I had a great time working with Trevor. Trevor's an amazing coach, and of course, I still got my jiu-jitsu coach, George Santiago. We did great work. We've always done great work, and we're going to continue to do great work.
Congrats, champ.
Thank you.
Good. Kamaru, I'm not sure you know, but someone placed 200,000 bets on Masvidal to win tonight. What would you say to the person that placed that bet on Masvidal to win tonight?
Whoops. Whoops. I mean, if you're gonna bet money like that, you probably don't need it. So I hope he doesn't miss it.
Would you advise this person to bet on you next time?
Well, I mean, he should have done a little bit of research and just kind of see my track record and see my score and see what I've done to each and every one of my opponents. So, fortunately, they didn't do their research. But that's what you call gambling.
Last one for me. The UFC announced today, just hours before the fight, that Jorge Masvidal would be on the cover of the UFC 4 video game. Did that bother you, seeing him on this, or do you kind of understand the UFC?
No, it doesn't bother me at all. George he's done a great job in the last year. He had an amazing 2019. He did some good things, picked some good fights, and some great things happened in those fights, as we know. And so, he earned it. Nothing against that. Everybody has their season. Everybody has their thing. When I continue to go out there and do my job, at some point they're gonna realize, like, man, this guy's a real deal. There's no opponent you can throw in front of him that he can't get through. So, it is what it is. I wasn't bothered by it at all. I think he did a great job, well deserved for him. And of course, Izzy was on there as well.
Hi. So Dana said that Burns should be the next one for you. I would like to know how do you see this match and how your guys' relationship stayed after he challenged you.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If that's what the company's gonna make, that's what the company's gonna make. I was willing, I prepared for a fight like that. I was willing and ready, and so it doesn't change anything. If that's the next fight, then once I get healed up and I'm able to get back in there, then I'll get back in there. But that's the one thing in this division. There's no shortage of contenders. There's dogs all sitting outside wanting what I have. So I have to just continue to train, get better, and go out there and take them all out one at a time.
Just a follow-up question. Do you see yourself training with Burns again?
Well, I mean, we'll see. Never say never. That's a motto that I live by. Never say never.
Thank you.
Kamaru, just a few thoughts on your side, just about your time here in general. Abu Dhabi, the culture, hospitality. How have you enjoyed your time here so far?
Yes, I love Abu Dhabi. I love the UAE. You guys all know I'm an African boy, and I love it here. I wanted to fight this. I would have loved for this to be maybe in the winter, and so I could really actually enjoy, the whole facilities and the whole what's going on in this whole country, this whole region. And of course, this pandemic, it crushed a lot of different things. I mean, look at everyone. Look at the space between everyone in here. That kind of takes away from everything, and it took away from it tonight. I would like to come back. I've been here before, and I enjoyed it a little bit. I would love to come back. I was actually going to plan a vacation here until the pandemic hit. I would love to come back and really enjoy the whole UAE.